We only have one earth that we can live in. We, as a human, need the environment and have enough wisdom to know how to treat it well. Unfortunately, the environment around us right now are not really in the well condition, where garbage spread around the corner and the pollution because of the garbage are increased. So how this will be going well in our world under 3 points of mechanism. Firstly, this is what we're going to do. First, for the people First, there are 3 types of people. First, for the people who were already about this. Second, for the people who have not aware about this. And thirdly, for the people who don't want to do this movement. For the people who have not aware about this, there will be a socialization movement to the community, such as an invitation to recycle waste, both organic and non-organic waste. For organic waste that cannot be recycled, the government will teach its citizens to get used to making organic waste into compost. Compost itself is useful as first, fertilizing plants and soil, and secondly, reducing organic waste itself which cannot be recycled, such as leaves, banana peels, food scraps, and others. Then the second one, for the people who don't want to do this movement, what the government will do next, if the community has been told to do this but still don't want to is firstly make a fine regulations. This fines itself will running progressively, not directly technically, because later it will be adjust how many times these violations has been committed. As if it had been once, then the fine is so, and the more violations, the greater the fine. Second, there will be a monitoring process. If it gets worse, then the government has the right to bring the violator to jail. So this will be going beneficial in our world. So moving on to my arguments. I will bring 2 points of arguments in this debate. Firstly, about why we need to prioritize this movement, and second, about efficacy. The only method to do this movement is in this way. Moving on to my first arguments about why we need to prioritize this movement. On the first layers, it is the basics of criminal lies. In the world where the law needs to be enforced, moreover, Indonesia makes the law as a support in the life of the state and society. There are many laws that function in the economic sector, the environmental sector, and other sectors. The enforcement of this law will be enforced, of course, by applying deterrent sanctions, whether it can be in the form of fines, imprisonment, or other means. And this law applies to those who are in the territory of the country, especially to those who are indeed citizens and live in that country. When you harm other people, then you can be morally punished. Government became the middleman to balance the right, either to prevent the harm. Criminal justice system serves as prevention by creating standards of good conduct and impose deterrents, or to equalize the right being taken away. The closest example to our environment is consumerism in using plastic, so that the plastic waste produced is over. If you look at the example, these actions give harm and damage. The damage actually, and because that this kind of action can be said of criminal things that I will explain in my next layers. Moving on to my next layers, understand about environmental damage that becomes urgent. Why, if we not recycling this rubbish, it is the same with harming environment that as extension other people. Why is protecting the environment so important? Because number one, this earth is the only place we live. If the environment is dirty, it will have a bigger impact, such as natural damage. If nature is damaged, then natural resources will also be affected, and this makes us as humans find it difficult to continue living on earth or in a place that is no longer conducive. And secondly, by care and understand that protecting the environment is important, it also reflects how one's attitude is. We become more aware of our surroundings, and that is a good example to be a better individual. In short term, if we look right now, we know that plastic waste is the waste that accounts for the largest percentage of domestic waste. As a result of consumerism, the accumulations of garbage makes the landfills full and not handled. Of course, the fortress areas will be dirty and infested with lots of insects such as flies, mosquito, and etc. Then the garbage will pollute the soil, or if it's is close to be whether the water source such as river, which in the end the quality of the water around us become bad and unhygienic. Substances in the plastic will damage the ozone and make climate change. And in the long term, for the next generation, the environment they live in will be worse. Those who have not yet been born also have the right to live comfortably and safely. If we don't recycle, they don't give rights to the next generations. The next generations will struggle in facing life on the basis of damage or harm that we give towards the environment that actually also affected another individual that live around us. It is very justified for the government to criminalize the people who are not recycle and do not save the environment. Moving on to the second argument, which is the last about the efficacy. The efficacy that the only method to do this movement is in this way. Panels notice that in the world where we live right now, government and environmental activists have done so many things to make our world better and to minimize the damage that our society, that the human beings done towards the environment. Like what I have said before, that many people throw the rubbish away straightly in the path, and in every corner we can see so many rubbish are being laid on the ground. So they choose to take some way to minimize it. Moving on to my first layers, there's no other choice to alternative that we can do. They, which is the government and environmental activists, have done so many things to do so. For example, that the rubbish bag that we can get right now is that system of it is that when the society throw the rubbish in accordance with that, with what kind of rubbish is that. With the classified that rubbish, the institution that have the obligation to recycle it can be easier to make the rubbish being useful. But what we can get, the environment is still the same. Rubbish that can be recycled from the very first step are still spreading in the society, and because of that, we can know that the system that happens in the status quo right now are not effectively going well. The campaign, the promotion has been running, but the results are still the same, and this means we need other alternative to make it much more effective. And in our world, it will be implemented by this punishment that I have been explained in the mechanism from the very first time. So how this will be going effectively well? As I said, we need another alternative to make people obey the rules, to make them aware and maintain the sustainability of the environment. The sustainability of environment we need is based on what we did towards the environment itself, right? So that's why we need the society to be aware more on the environment itself. Punishment will be effective because number one, most of the people are afraid to be stamped as criminal, right? And the criminalizations of someone can affect on their daily life. The criminals sometimes being underestimated by people because they have been seen as someone who did something bad, right? It will make them affect on their daily life. For example, it will be hard for someone to get a job because they have a black background, which do something that break the rules. And secondly, waste money from the fine that we got. Money has become one of the main factors to afford our basic needs in life, right? Human being will more likely be maintain the money and do the saving process of money because it is one of the treasure which we use in our daily needs. With the mechanism of fine, when we do not recycle, the people must be considered the way they did towards the environment, which the recycle process will be much more going well in the world where the recycle being the policy. Because of that reason and the evidence that we explained, the efficacy of our policy will be much more going well and bring the benefits towards the environment and towards the society itself. And because of that reason, we're proud to propose. Thank you.